Ladies and gentlemen, we are so back. We lied to you for months.
Sorry,
We
go ahead.
said slow trade deadline. We said not a lot of slop. We said teams hung up on Giannis Antetokounmpo trades. We said no stars on the move, which is technically kind of still true, to be honest with you, considering the trade that happened earlier today. That Sam, I'm sure, is dying to talk about. And we will get to everything on this episode. We will get to the trade exceptions that were created today. And I will let Sam have his trade exception corner to rant about two of the largest trade exceptions in NBA history being created today. But we do need to talk about what I think is the most shocking trade probably since I wouldn't say. Yeah, I would say it was, the Jaren Jackson Jr. to Utah trade is probably the most out of left field trade we've had since the Luka trade, because every other one,
no whispering. Everybody was looking at Ja like there was for that. There was a little bit of scuttlebutt. Like people, there was the weird report that the Celtics were interested in him.
Mhm.
Like what was that? Like 3 weeks ago or something like that. But I thought that was typical Boston media mafia consent manufacturing rather than actual like rumor. And maybe it turns out it might have been a real rumor. So
might have been someone who has a deep connection to the city of Boston, and Danny Ainge turning back the clock and getting back on his bullshit. He was always, this is kind of the opposite of his MO though. His MO was always maybe
not making a trade.
Exactly. He was the one that was interested in everyone, but rarely ever pulled the trigger. This is the complete opposite, where we didn't hear anything about. We've heard for the last, let's just say, really 2 to 3 years, that the Jazz have wanted to be more competitive, and that the Jazz wanted to take swings on players that they could acquire via trade. They were in on Drew Holiday, they were in on Mikal Bridges, they were in on all these guys. We always get they're interested in people, but they never actually were able to put together a package in classic Danny Ainge fashion. But they finally make a big move. They're in the middle of this season where they owe a top 8 protected pick to OKC. And this is very, because I want to get your take on the trade first, and then I'll give my take. Okay. But that is a big factor in this, because I know we just saw with Trae Young where Washington also owes a protected pick, and they're just going into the tank basically, and they're keeping Trae Young out. To my knowledge, I don't think Jaren Jackson Jr. has any sort of lingering injury issue. I know he's been injured, but I don't think it's like a Trae Young thing. And we just saw last season with Utah that they potentially could get in trouble for sitting Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr., even though they've been sitting Lauri Markkanen this year and saying that he has an illness. So what do you think about Jaren Jackson Jr. to Utah, and what do you think about the potential of them, being competitive and maybe having an outside shot of losing their pick?
I mean, I'll just start here. I think you nailed it when you said that this is kind of Danny Ainge flipping up the script when it comes to his trades. We're used to him winning trades, and now he's going out of his way to lose trades very convincingly and badly. So I don't know. I think this is. I understand everyone, like Jaren Jackson Jr. is like a good player. I think he is a player who has a little bit of an inflated reputation overall in the league. I think he's a little bit overpaid, not tremendously, but I think he's a little bit overpaid because he's ultimately, we've talked about him before, he's one of these bigs that needs a very specific set of circumstances to like really thrive. Like he does have an interesting set of skills. Like he's a 3-point shooter. He's a scorer, he's, obviously one defensive player of the year. There's, a lot to like, but ultimately like the rebounding position, there's not a lot of, you have to have a very specifically constructed team to get over the rebounding issues that kind of having him as one of your bigs presents. Quite frankly, I don't think Utah is that team. He's not a great creator. And that is something that, let's just say Utah is also not very well equipped to cover up. I think they're going to be dead last in assists for the foreseeable future when it comes to passing and scoring and creation.
You saw that stat that was like there are 2 players that average over 20 points per game, and in dead last in both of them were Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, I mean, I just I don't know. It's not that this can't work. It's just that I don't necessarily think the Jazz have the infrastructure for it. And you're giving up 3 first-round picks, and some of these first-round picks that they gave up are pretty fucking substantial. That Suns pick is one of the better first-round picks out there. I know the Suns look great right now. They're a feel-good story.
That's 5 years from now.
That's 5 years from now, and
when they will have a stretch of not having any draft picks, basically.
Yeah. It's going to be bad. That's going to be a really good draft pick. And I don't even know if I would have given up 2 of those for Jaren Jackson Jr. Just in terms of what are the Jazz? I think for this to make sense for me, you have to have a clear pathway to getting better. And now I don't know what your pathway to getting better is. I understand that this is a rebuild we've criticized in the past for being a little bit rudderless and not really having form or plan. I was starting to feel okay about it though, because I mean, this is kind of just what happens when you're bad and you don't win the lottery. You don't get lucky. I've talked about this with the Wizards. That sucks. I don't necessarily think you've done a ton wrong. You drafted Disgrace Fairley, which is, a part of it, but I certainly feel worse than them about this. And it just feels like they're kind of building a Raptors West style team that's going to be expensive and
okay. I was they have a lot more shooting than the Raptors.
No, it's going to be an expensive team that caps out at 48 wins. I know the Raptors might get to 50 this year, but I'm just saying a team that is not necessarily dead on arrival in the playoffs, but I just don't see a lot of upside for this team as a being a real contender. And who knows, maybe that's the point. Maybe we're sick of trying to become contenders. Maybe we just want to get through the play-in and then get destroyed by Oklahoma City in the 1-8 matchup or something like that. But
okay, so I will feel I'm gonna go against the grain here a little bit. I will feel good about this trade if they keep their pick. If they lose their pick, I'm feeling very similarly to the Trae Young trade, where if they give Trae Young $50 million this offseason per year, not going to love that trade as much for Washington. If they come to a reasonable $30 million extension and they got Trae Young for free, totally fine, in my opinion. The reason why I actually do like this trade for Utah is I do think they have the infrastructure to cover up some of Jaren Jackson Jr.'s issue with rebounding. He's going to be starting with Walker Kessler at the 5, and he's going to be starting with Lauri Markkanen at the 3. Now, is that going to present some other issues? Probably. I think it probably will create some issues from just a defensive perspective.
Do you think they're keeping Walker? They've been trying to trade Walker Kessler for
I don't know how real that is though. Everyone says that, and it's every time it's ever been reported that he could be on the move, it's always if a team gives up a good prospect in 2 firsts, no fucking shit. I kind of think. I mean,
if they're keeping Walker Kessler, okay, I still don't feel.
Here's let me make my pitch.
Okay,
they're gonna go jumbo ball here. Basically, it's gonna be George at point guard, who's having a breakthrough season, Keontae George, and then they're probably going to put Ace at the 2, and then they'll probably put Lauri Markkanen at the 3, Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 4, and Walker Kessler at the 5.
That is a massive lineup.
So that is a massive jumbo ball lineup.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think makes that interesting is that it is the rare jumbo ball lineup where you're not really losing a ton in terms of spacing. And a lot of these jumbo ball lineups for Houston, for example, has been running jumbo ball lineups. The Raptors in the past, I know they haven't always had a traditional center, but they tend to run with large wings and size. And teams that run the jumbo ball lineups, generally speaking, are giving up a lot of spacing and shooting. And while I do think the 2-3-4 of, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen, and Jaren Jackson Jr. There's not a ton of creation there for sure. I mean, it's basically you will be running plays for them. And I jokingly said Will Hardy did the raise my rent, ask my landlord to raise my rent tweet, because you're basically adding 3 guys who are not self-creators. You're basically asking 3 guys who are not, high level on ball guys, and are very obviously not playmakers by any means to, basically be a big part of your offense. Having said that,
how many Michael Porter Jr.'s can you have on one team?
Sure. But even Michael Porter Jr. is averaging like 4 assists a game this year. It's like
that's true.
They're like half that. Like it's kind of crazy how few. But Hardy is one of the better. We talked about this with Ace in the draft. We talk about it with the Leap with Lauri Markkanen. He is one of the better. If your weaknesses are self-creation from a traditional roll the ball out standpoint, and also creating for others, he'll still figure out a way to make you effective. If you have size, you can shoot. He'll run plays for you. You'll have adequate spacing around you. They run a ton of actions on and off the ball. And I do think that can work. Having the other side of this is that if you're going to build around Keyonte George, which is part of what they're doing here.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that I would necessarily build around Keyonte George. I know he's had this great leap. I still think defensively, there's a lot left on the table there that you probably would, you'd be probably better off building around. Maybe if you could get a top 3 pick in this upcoming draft, one of those guys, you'd be better off. But in the situation they're in, they seem to like Keyonte. And if you like Keyonte, you need to have a ton of size around him. You just have to. Defensively, he's going to give up, while he's become this like really good pick and roll guy, and he's become this incredible shot maker, and his playmaking has looked better, and everything has gone up for him on the offensive end. He's still a liability on defense, and you're going to want to cover up some of his defensive issues. And what better than to have basically 3 7-footers in your front court? And I know Ace isn't a defensive ace by any means necessarily, but he is someone that is going to be playing at the 2 at 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", however tall he is. And so you're basically doing this George plus a ton of size. And I think that though that group together can easily get to cover up some of Jaren Jackson Jr.'s rebounding issues, cover up some of Keyonte George's defensive issues, and their offense is going to be clicking. Like I know that Will Hardy, just with those 2 alone, just with Lauri Markkanen and Keyonte George this year, and basically a rookie Ace Bailey and a bunch of scraps around them, they still have this high level offense when those 2 are on the court. And I think that this could potentially work for them as a team build moving forward. But there also always is that risk that they go on a little bit of a run here down the stretch of the season. They fall in lottery odds, and then they're handing over a top 10 pick to OKC. And that's where I would be like, I don't think that you've gone quite far enough in this, in your rebuild to kind of justify that.
Maybe I'll eat these words. The last thing on my mind is worrying that this team is too good, and it's threatening their picks. At least any different from how
look at where they are in the standings right
now. I
now.
get it. Everybody's really close together, but I don't think it's meaningfully different from how they were playing with fire before. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that, but let me tell you what. So if they get down to like the 8 or 9 range, it becomes like 30% chance they lose their pick, 40% chance they lose their pick, 50%. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's not like an exact figure, but right now they're 6 in lottery odds. Okay. Mm-hmm. Here are the teams below them. The Bucks. What do we know about the Bucks? If they trade Giannis,
they're going to be worse. Yeah.
They're going into the tank, and they will be worse than the Jazz.
Yeah.
The Mavericks, they might be able to compete and be able to stay.
I think they're actually going to get better, to be honest, over them.
Okay.
They're a prime Mickey Mouse March candidate to me.
So the team below them is the Memphis Grizzlies, who just traded away Jaren Jackson Jr. and are now fully pulling the plug on this season and will try to be bad down the stretch of this year.
Is Edie done for the year? I remember he had his try.
I would be shocked if they bring him back.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I guess they have no incentive.
There's no point to bring him back now. Where it's like if you just let him rest recover from whatever injury he had. And then next year, you could potentially add a top 5 pick from this draft with Coward, Edey, all those guys. So all I'm saying is there's a chance that they fall a little bit down and it bites them in the ass here. But Tony Jones pretty much instantly came out, and he used to cover the Jazz. He pretty much instantly came out and said their plan is to keep their pick. Like, they don't have any plans to try to be too good down the stretch of the season. And I know you laugh at that, but I'm like, and Jaren, to be clear, Jaren Jackson Jr. is not having a good season at all. This might just be a loss year for him. But the thing that I do just want to stress here is, like, they've been kind of competitive and had to pull the Isaiah Collier lever in a lot of these games where it's like, throw him and Ace out there, let them cook, and you can sell it as like on ball reps or development or whatever, and you're going to lose games.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's I think that's the point. My thing though is, like, I don't even know if necessarily, especially like where you've made this thing where your starters are pretty well set. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not good process, but I don't think it's the end of the world if they like lose the 9th pick in the draft, like.
No, but you did just give up a bunch of your draft capital, and this is your core now. That's
what that's what I'm saying. I think the only way you lose sleep over is if you're missing one of the guys you've been going after. Like if you miss DeBanstead, for example,
sure.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only reason this hurts you, and you can't do that because if you jump up,
that's fair.
So I just don't think that enters into it just too much. This team is like a little fucked up to me. Like, I understand there's like a lot of reasons, like hypothetically, zooming out, this defense should be fine because even if Keontae George gives up like dribble penetration, this is going to be an insane rim protection team if you are indeed keeping Kessler and then you have Jaren Jackson Jr. on there. Like, so
that's the idea, I think.
Right. So makes total sense. Like if they keep Kessler and they have the size, I get it. Like the rebounding will, you've got everybody else covering up for Jaren Jackson Jr. I don't think basketball works that way. This team, I'm going Bill mode here for a second. This team feels off. Like, I don't think this fits together in terms of how everyone's going to want to play. Like
spiritually doesn't feel right.
I'm like spiritually, there's like something off about this. You need garbage men on your team. And who is the garbage man beside Walker Kessler? Can't be your only garbage man. And then, who else is,
I don't even know who else on this roster. Vince Williams Jr. off the bench. Like that's like the closest thing you're going to get to that, assuming that they keep him, because the Jazz, the Grizzlies were basically like, anyone who's on our books, let's get off of that money right now, unless it's a scam deal. And even like Vince Williams Jr. was on like basically the end of his rookie contract. They threw him in.
Right.
I don't really think they have. I do think you're right in that sense. And I do wonder if if the offense isn't quite the sum of its parts with this team, and then they're just every single game is coming down to the wire like it has for them this year, kind of similar to what the Sixers have done, the Pacers before they got Pascal Siakam. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder, like, do they try to go out and like, instead of starting Ace, maybe they bring Ace off the bench and get more of a garbage man, get someone who has like point of attack defense and stuff like that.
If there was like a Dylan Brooks style guy out there or something like that, I think this lineup makes a lot more sense figuratively. I mean, let me be clear. This team is going to kill bad teams in the regular season. I don't give a shit about that. That doesn't fucking matter to me, like, at all. I'm talking about like in the playoffs, what is this team's identity going to be? And like, is this a team that's going to match up? And I think there's more work to do, substantially more work to do here. Like I'm talking 2 or 3 starters worth of work here to do. And
I don't know about that. I mean, I think this team is now look, I'm banking on Walker Kessler coming back and being healthy and then potentially keeping their pick here. Like, I think they have enough talent. I just think that you have to hope to get the best version of Jaren Jackson Jr., who, by the way, I also just want to point out here, but we'll talk about Memphis's side of this in a little bit, but we're a year removed from them like making moves at the deadline to sign Jaren Jackson Jr. to that massive contract. and then within a year they're already salary dumping him. That would be a little bit concerning to me if I were the Jazz. Like, I would be like, wait, hold on. You were going to build around this guy like a year ago, and you literally used a first round pick to get off the Marcus Smart money so that you could use cap space to sign Jaren Jackson Jr. to this. And then before the contract really even kicks in, you're already trading him.
I mean, they have the ready-made excuse. Just the jaw thing was too fucked up. Like,
sure. That's,
that's
that being all going wonky basically made them say, let's get out ahead of this thing and let's not wait until Jaren Jackson Jr. has no trade value to move on from him, and Desmond Bane too.
I think they did great in both those trades, to be totally honest.
But hold on one second.
Okay, go ahead.
Utah has to trade for players like Jaren Jackson Jr. though. That's the other part of this. They can't trade for guys that are like, I have 1 year left on my deal, because they're never going to re-sign with Utah. Utah can't trade for stars or big names. Like, this is the best level of player that Utah will, and even if he's a little bit overpaid, let's say he's a $35 million player instead of a $50 million player.
Yeah.
That's kind of just the tax being in Utah and having to build like Lowry and Jaren Jackson Jr. probably on similar tier of player.
Yeah.
That's the best kind of player they could acquire. And Lowry, they made his career too, which was another, like, Jaren Jackson was a little bit more established, obviously won defensive player of the year, made 2 all-star games.
Right.
Lowry, before he got there, was just a rotation wing and then became like, an all-star while he was there. So ultimately for Utah, these are the only kinds of players that you can acquire. I think that I like the idea of 2 great rim protectors and a ton of shooting positionally around all of the, and Ace has got to get better at shooting. He's still like an average to above average shooter. I think in time he'll become a pretty good shooter.
I think he'll be fine there. Yeah. I think that's not what I'm worried about with Ace. I'm gonna just put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And now that's the thing, is like the Ace, if Ace were in that mold of, he's a little bit more of a garbage man, he can do some of the role player things you would want, this would really be a perfect fit.
If they had VJ, I would be like,
it's very funny. It's very funny that like before the draft, I know that I think they were tied to VJ a ton. Mm-hmm. And there were even discussions, would they flip the picks to try to make something happen? Obviously that didn't happen. But if it was VJ starting in the backcourt with Keontae, George, and then they also did this, this team would be kind of a hand in glove fit. Ace is going to be the one. What is Ace Bailey 5th option hoops look like, or 4th option hoops look like?
So I will say this, that probably is the thing that's easiest to fix, though. I will say you probably do want that. You'd rather have too much top shelf talent and be trying to get like a Derek White or like someone like that for your team, rather than trying to get like a talent injection. Like you just talked about, like, if you're the Utah Jazz, you can't like keep anyone. You basically have to have them on the Mr. Burns "you're here forever" contract to keep them like stapled to the thing. So yeah, I agree that like in theory, like getting Jaren Jackson Jr. for that, I just think that like that sticker price was just very high. That said,
they didn't give up any players though. This is a rare trade.
They don't really have any players. So.
That's fair. There's not a lot of players on their team except for maybe Ace that would appeal, assuming that their guys that they're building around are Lowry and George and potentially Walker Kessler. They sent Clayton.
Oh, they sent Clayton?
Clayton was in the trade. Yeah.
I like it even better for the Grizzlies. God,
I mean, I look, I like Walter Clayton in the draft, but it's not like he's done anything in the NBA to really it's a fine flyer. Yeah. I'm not mad at it. I just think if I'm zooming out and I'm saying, what did they give up in this trade?
I think if Walter Clayton's a guy who projects to be getting good right around the time you're going to want a guy like Walter Clayton to be good. getting good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think he's like 23. Like, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. He'll be like 26 in like 2 years, you know, like hitting his prime.
A rookie deal. And it's also a very cheap rookie deal because it was in the middle of I liked him enough in the first in where they took him in the draft. Like, I had him like at the end of my lottery, but he hasn't shown enough in the NBA. He hasn't really gotten a ton of opportunity, but he's struggled to adapt so far. But maybe he goes to Memphis and they just go, we're going to suck anyway. We're going to try out a ton of these guys. Ty Jerome, Clayton, like just Cedric Howard, like just go for it. Like, do whatever the fuck you want to do because we don't care about winning games. We're going in the opposite direction right now. The players, I'm just going to pull up real quick. They
need Mamu so bad, dude.
Every team needs Mamu.
Yeah.
All right. So the trade was here's the thing. Now, look, I'm not saying that Jock Landale, Vince Williams, and John Conchar are players that are going to change the lives of the Utah Jazz, right?
Those are all real players, though.
They're like fringe to like in like bench players, like like they can fill out a rotation. Like
Jock Landale can kind of help. You know what I'm saying with some of the stuff I was bad about. John Conchar is not great, but he's an NBA player. These guys are NBA players.
I was gonna say Vince Williams and John Conchar are the closest thing you're gonna get to garbage men in this trade, but they've also had really terrible offensive seasons. And John Conchar kind of a weird offensive career.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's kind of had no weird offense.
I don't really think he's ever been particularly good on offense, but
he's on the right team for that though.
So here are the players that the Jazz sent out: Walter Clayton, Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, George Niang, and 3 future firsts. So they'll probably buy out George Niang, I would imagine. Taylor Hendricks, it just never, after he broke his leg, that was kind of it for him in Utah. Like, he never really got off the ground there. I'm sure just like the Omax acquiring that they did earlier this year, they'll just get a look at him, see if, like, you never know with Memphis, maybe they liked him in the draft and then they're trying to resuscitate his career. They tend to do that a lot with these guys that were former decently high draft picks. And then Kyle Anderson also might be on the move, might get bought out. Maybe I didn't even realize he went back to Memphis.
He's home. He's coming home.
He went back. They said, you know what we really need? We need to bring back the vibes from 4 years ago when we had Kyle Anderson on the team.
I'm so sad that we can't trade for him to duck the tax anymore. I was so excited. I was like, awesome. All
right. We're not talking about the Celtics yet. Okay, we'll get to you, BMM. So I just want to talk a little bit about Memphis' side with this, because we're a year removed from them doing everything in their power to bring Jaren Jackson Jr. on that contract. Then they pivot and they trade Desmond Bane, and they get 4 first-round picks, 2 in this upcoming draft. They choose again to bet against the Phoenix Suns in this trade. They get the 2031 unprotected pick, which has real value. They get the Lakers pick in 2027, which will probably be in the late teens or 20s, I would imagine. Like, it's not, I don't think the Lakers are going to be great, but they still have a high enough floor with Reeves and Luka that it will probably be somewhere. But the thing about the Grizzlies is, like, they love to draft in that area. Like,
I was going to say, this is perfect for them.
Most teams, I would be like, you got to aim for high quality picks. And I'm like, most of the decent players on the Grizzlies, except for Ja and JJJ, really were not top picks at all. Like, they've gotten guys outside of the top 5, top 6, top 10. They get guys end of first, beginning of second, undrafted. They always figure out a way to find value. But they are now moving forward, building with this core that they have now, this very, very young core. They've basically added 6 or 7 firsts in the last calendar year. That's not counting the Ja trade, which still could happen, by the way. Like, I'm almost certain they're just going to do whatever they can just to get off of the Ja Morant deal at this point, because there's no, or they're just riding it out because there's literally no market for him. But like, if the Kings call and say, here's DeMar DeRozan, or here's Zach LaVine and a first round pick, like, they're gonna do a trade like that. Like, and Sam Amick said the Kings were still interested because they can't fucking help themselves. It's just like, not that I like the DeAndre Hunter trade for them, but like,
we didn't even talk about that. I mean, we kind of talked about it before it happened, but like,
we talked about it a little bit, but like, it's not like, I don't like that move for them at all. It doesn't make any sense. but they should be moving in a direction where they're trying to get contracts that don't go on for long and aren't a ton of money. And now they're going to turn around and potentially trade for Ja Morant, according to Sam Amick. So like, they're not out of the question, at least. And I look at what Memphis is doing now, and like their core that they're trying to build around is Cedric Howard, Zach Edey, and then Jalen Wells, I guess. And a bunch of draft picks now.
Yeah.
They're basically where Utah was a few years ago. But they're probably going to draft much better than Utah did during this stretch.
Yes.
I would imagine, because if you look at Utah's starting guys right now, what do they have? They have 3 guys that they drafted. They have 4 guys in their whole rotation, I think, that they drafted, that are actually like meaningful NBA players. And so I would imagine that the Grizzlies version of this rebuild goes a little bit smoother because of their scouting staff, because of the kind of talent that they're able to find on the margins and shit like that. But this is just like Memphis diagnosing a year, like basically last offseason. We are so far away. Like, if Ja isn't Ja anymore, we need to go in the opposite direction. And let's see if Jaren Jackson can turn this around this upcoming season. And then maybe we can just easily trade Ja while he still has value. But when they made that Desmond Bane trade, it was kind of signaling like, look at how good the West is. And that's the one thing I worry about with Utah too, where it's like, even with as much talent as they have and how much that kind of jumbo ball makes a lot of sense to me and how they can compete in the West. Like, we've talked about it time and time again. The bar is very high. And right now you're starting as Memphis, and they're very far away, and they'll have a few shots in the draft over the next few years to kind of correct this thing and get it right back on track. But like, you better hope Zach Edey is what we think he is and can stay healthy.
Stay healthy. I think that's the bigger issue, is staying healthy. And you know, I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world, because I don't think their picks aren't really impacted, right? I don't think they owe anybody any picks, really. They have all their own picks.
No, they have all their own picks. The last pick they traded was the Marcus Smart salary dump one, and then they turned around and realized that was a mistake pretty much instantly and traded for the Cedric Howard pick. Traded 2 firsts to get Cedric Howard from
that seems to have worked out. Yeah, I mean, I think they're just kind of chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Zach Kleiman has job security, I don't see them, and it seems like he does, because like, we very rarely see this type of pivot from a front office giving up on their own team that they built and do it. And I think it's the correct move to do, by the way.
Sure.
For all the reasons you just laid out. Guys just don't usually do this because they usually get fired.
Right. No one has the job security to be able to do a teardown like this except for Sam Presti.
Yeah.
And I guess technically Pat Riley, but he never does that.
He never does that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so, and I you know what? I mean, look, it's just come out that I don't want to be too complimentary of Grizzlies ownership given where they've been in the news recently, but let's just say that like, this is probably how you want decisions to be made, not like throwing blame on something. Because this Ja thing, like, yes, the Smart trade was bad. Yes, they should have traded for OG Anunoby, and like, you know, actually made some moves to make themselves better. This Ja Morant thing was just kind of a.
You always say that. You always say that about the OG Anunoby thing. I'm like, the Raptors rejected all of their offers. Same with Mikal Bridges. Like, you can't just do the forced trade 2K thing. Like,
I should have.
They tried. They just fucked up and then had to settle for Marcus Smart, and it went disastrously along with the decline of Ja Morant.
Anyway, I think I respect for letting Zach Kleiman oversee this, because I think he's earned the benefit of the doubt as a GM. Like, I think this has mostly been a pretty well-run front office that's obviously made some mistakes, but like, I think has done a pretty good job with things that were inside their control. And a lot of how sideways this thing has gone is just, you know, if your franchise star having like this disastrous meltdown is kind of something that no team is equipped for. So
you heard it here first, folks. Sam approves of everything that Memphis and their ownership group has done.
Yeah. I just respect them so much.
Yes. Sam said, listen, keep the war crimes in the trade machine.
I love Steph Curry. I love Miami's ownership. I love Dallas's ownership. It's all
exactly.
good.
Yeah. So
I think, I think the Grizzlies did really well here. I mean, I get that it's painful to take a step back. I really don't think they're that much. They're probably only going to finish like 5 places, or sorry, only like 3 places lower in the standings than they would have otherwise. So I really don't think.
Well, it's actually funny because if you look at their like on-off data,
yeah,
obviously Edie being out for this extended period of time has really helped them be kind of mid or bad for this stretch.
Yeah,
but Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja Morant, like there are some lineups where they're significantly better when those two don't play. So like if they move on from them, like they gotta be careful down the stretch. I'm sure they can, once again, they can have their own Utah version of this where they pull up the stops just to still like, you know, have like one of the 5 or 6 worst records. Because as we've said before with this upcoming draft, you don't need to fully bottom out because of the new flattened lottery odds, but you want to give yourself a puncher's chance to jump up into that top 3 is really the thing that I think that you will be aiming for in this. And who knows, with the way that Debance has been playing recently and Caleb Wilson and Kingston Flemings, maybe if there's one front office that I think could view those guys differently than public consensus, I wouldn't be shocked if Memphis were one of them. Like if they preferred one of those other 2 guys over Debance, because I think it's pretty clear that Peterson and Boozer are just in a tier of their own at the top of this draft, just based on the recent tear that each of them have been on.
I don't trust this Grizzlies front office with making a good team great. I don't think there's a front office I would rather have if I'm trying to tear down and rebuild quickly. I think they're excellent at that. So I
was going to say, that's probably their best thing. So so I definitely trust the process of of what they're going to go through here. But
I don't think it's crazy they're back in the playoffs next year. I really think that's totally possible. Yes.
Well, I mean, if
possible,
if Shaquille O'Neal comes back,
Shaquille O'Neal.
If we get Zach Eel, anything's possible with Zach Eel. It does kind of suck that we never got to see him play with any of Memphis's core guys, really. You know what I mean? Like we never really got to see what that would look like. And I did like the theoretical fit of the front court with Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey, because what's going to help Jaren Jackson Jr., a big who's crazy at rebounding? What's going to help Zach Edey, a big who can roam on defense and space the floor on the other end? Like, say what you will about Jaren Jackson, I definitely think I've kind of moved over into, I can't even say he's overrated anymore, because I think a lot of people just think he sucks. Like it feels like Memphis fans were on my timeline, like, get this guy off my fucking team. And the general consensus, like, if the first thing that when this trade came out was like, oh, he's making $50 million a year, you know, $10 million for every rebound that he gets per game. Yeah. Like he's kind of become a little bit of a punching bag, because I think he won the DPOY. And also on top of that, Memphis was just kind of the annoying team. I don't even think he was really even a part of that. That was probably more Desmond Bane, Ja Morant, and Dylan Brooks. Yeah. But Jaren Jackson kind of got some of it, because the flaws in his game are massive, and Utah is basically betting on the rebounding won't be a problem, the creation and the passing won't be a problem because of Will Hardy, and we have these other guys, these other 7-footers around him that can cover up some of the rebounding issues, and we really just want him because we want to be able to have a 4 who spaces the floor and is like a crazy roamer rim protector on defense.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'll say that it's not that like Jaren Jackson Jr. is bad. He's just like, he just has like a very weird set of strengths and weaknesses that like make a guy he's overpaid, you know, like, and all of those things conflate to make like a kind of a weird fit around. I think this could there's ways to make this work, you know, like, and I'll say this, even if I don't like the way that the Jazz are constructed now, I do think that there's a lot of ways for this team to get bet. Like, they have a lot of paths to fix this kind of easily. Yeah. So I just don't know if they're getting any more like talent.
By the way, the final return of the Rudy Gobert trade, this is pretty much it. I mean, it ultimately ended up with them getting 3 good starters and a potential star in Keontae George. I mean, like, no, look, the trading Rudy and Donovan when you did, maybe not necessarily the best idea in the world because they haven't been even back to the play-in since. But they ended up with Keontae George, they ended up with Walker Kessler, and they ended up with Jaren Jackson Jr. If you had told me that at the time, they got a potential young star guard, a really good potential two-way center, at least rim protector, and Walker Kessler, great rebounder. And then they also got Jaren Jackson Jr. When they made the trade, I would have been like, great return for Utah. It just took so long to flesh out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it was like, that trade happened 4 years ago at this point. So it's one of those things where it's like, it felt like they missed a lot of opportunities along the way, and they at least have made up for some of them now, I think, with this move.
I mean, having bad lottery luck, that's the thing, and you see some of these old GMs like Danny Ainge struggling to get their head around it. Like, you can't just tank and automatically jump up, man. Like, sometimes you got to eat shit. And
because he was doing it, if he ever did it before, it was in a different era. Or he was just using other people's picks.
Right.
He wasn't using.
Well, and we got lucky. We jumped up with those Nets picks both times. We won the fucking lottery with one of them. Yeah. So we've had like really good luck. So this is the other side of the coin. The Wizards and the Jazz just have this like half decade of having lottery odds and never jumping up. Well, the Wizards did, but it was like the worst draft in a decade.
That was tough. But also, I think Sar's
fine.
I was gonna say, coming out of that draft with Sar is like, man, you really got the last helicopter out of Saigon type shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that feels like you basically are coming out of it with someone who has potential to kind of fit in this mold of guy that is very. Did I not say to you, I don't care what you think about a player or what I think about a player. Mm-hmm. If there's a 4 that has like a little bit of shooting, defense, like the teams will just do whatever the fuck they can to acquire those guys. Like they will just go, they will twerk for Bam Adebayo, Jaren Jackson Jr., Anthony Davis when he's not, his whole body isn't fucking destroyed. Like this Evan Mobley, this mold of player is the kind of player that every single team is always looking for, even accepted with all of their flaws.
And I don't get it, man. That seems like the thing that like teams haven't caught on to yet, because those guys are all always overpaid. Yeah.
They're all like big max contracts because they make all defense teams.
Yeah.
Or they win defensive player of the year, and then they get these massive deals. And then you kind of have to work around that for the rest of your team. So look, this Utah owner's been wanting for years. The crypto dude who is running the Jazz is running up the numbers, inflating their books. Could you imagine that?
Is who bigger fall off in 2026 to where they were 5 years ago? Danny Ainge or fuck, I ruined the punchline.
It's a good one. Good one. I like
the guy who wrote Manufacturing Consent.
Noam Chomsky?
Noam Chomsky,
yeah. Well, whose
reputation
in the files. Surprisingly, Danny Ainge was nowhere near the files. Which, look, honestly, credit to him. There are a lot of people in the sports world that were in the files that I didn't even see coming.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Ainge, like, I'm just gonna say, Mike Zarin, I've got my eye on you. Mike Zarin is the demon. Everyone is watching. He's the fucking Lord Boris.
You guys. I think Robert Kraft's got it covered enough for all of New England.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
I can't imagine the owner of my team ever being on any of these files or logs or anything. It's not, and it's so funny because everyone keeps asking me. I've said this before, and I'll say it again about the Epstein stuff. I feel like when your favorite indie band blows up and becomes commercially successful, where they're like, did you know that I'm like, brother, I've known this since 2021. Like,
did you know Kings of Leon are all brothers? Did you know Leon Black, who's in the file? Yeah, man. I knew all about all the Apollo guys. What are you talking about, man? I was looking into the Apollo guys when it was just four of us in a little shoebox type thing watching. We were all watching. I don't know, whatever. It's it is very. I don't even fucking care.
Abandon the bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I keep forgetting we're live on YouTube, so my bad.
So let's talk
Parody.
about the man who tried to save the trade deadline and did it before we even knew, because this Jaren Jackson Jr. one, complete left field.
Yeah.
We'll see how that plays out, but I had no fucking idea this was coming.
No, me neither.
The other guy that is, I mean, at this point, raise his fucking jersey into the Raptors, dude. The trade request go like numero uno, always looking out for numero uno. The only player in the NBA that could be worth $500 million, and the week of the trade deadline, he's posting like gaming apps and like in like 420p quality shot on his phone and posting a video of him playing the game in a sponsored post on Twitter in the midst of him asking out of his fourth team. Is this his fourth? Rockets in the last 5 or 6 years? It's really 6 years. 6 years, 4 trade requests, Rockets, Nets, Sixers, and now Clippers.
I wanted to share with our viewers. One of the things I was looking at today on my timeline, because I was scrolling, I had a lot of work today, but it was obviously a big trade day. So I'm trying to like be on my phone. I'm trying to like catch the news as they're coming in. At one point I had a 3-tweet, window here. Okay. One of them was somebody saying it's so awesome that he did this, and it was James Harden telling all those Chinese kids that Daryl Morey is a liar. The next thing is that James Harden gaming thing, him just being worth $1 billion and just being like gamble it all away.
By the way, $500 million just from his contracts in the NBA. That doesn't include anything that he's paid for outside of that. He's a wine company. Harden could easily be worth upwards of $1 billion. Like a shoe, he could be a billionaire, and he's still doing ads for some app. He is just one of one, dude. He's uno of uno.
He's doing this for sign up for Blundercat. The daily fantasy website, and then under that is one of the NBA bloggers making a joke about James Harden, and Kylie in the replies telling him he should be put under euthanasia for what he's doing to James Harden. Just bang, bang, bang.
Like she has to defend her husband.
Yeah, I mean, Kylie, nobody was in the trenches more than Kylie today, dude. She was on fire today. I've never seen somebody imply so many times that everybody should kill themselves.
Once again, Harden not hiring her to do PR is the biggest bag fumble that he's ever he really could put such a seriously positive spin onto this man in a way that I don't think that anyone else can. Like, she can turn any negative about James Harden into a positive, and then by the end of the conversation I'm like, she's kind of spitting. I'm not gonna lie,
exactly.
She's kind of cooking on this.
I'm just, everyone, if you are James Harden, someone with James Harden, send James Harden's camp Kylie's timeline from today. You are never gonna see it. It's like perfect copy, and she's just doing this for the love of the game. You give her some resources, she'd be on fire, dude. She could have the Canary Project for slandering James Harden. She could start that for you.
Straight up. Just the screenshot of KOC posting him in the fat suit. Yeah. I will be honest. So for anyone who didn't catch this, yesterday, so 2 days ago, mysteriously, James Harden is out for the Suns game, right? Like, he's in Phoenix. I guess he lives in Phoenix in the offseason. Sometimes he has family there. And they said personal. And I know that usually when they say personal, that means that someone is having a child. Like 9 times out of 10, your partner is having a kid, or someone that you got pregnant is having a kid, and you're out for that. And that happens a lot in the NBA. Sure. So I'm not like super surprised. Then we get a DM yesterday from someone that's like, I heard that Garland and Harden might be traded for each other. We're like, what? Like that doesn't. James Harden has a no trade clause. Like he's going to waive his no trade clause and go to Cleveland. Like that does not sound like something that James Harden would do. Like that just is not really in his ballpark. So we kind of just blow it off. We don't really think anything of it. Then a few hours later, it's in the middle of the Sixers Clippers game, by the way. The Sixers and the Clippers were playing a game. Did you realize this?
No, I didn't realize that.
The Sixers, when this news started trickling out on the timeline, the Sixers had just gone up like 24 on the Clippers without James Harden. So we're like, did he literally request a trade in the middle of the game? Because he is seeing what's happening when he doesn't play. By the way, another thing that I just want to a callback to. So, this is the Clippers just turned around their season. They're 17-4 going into that game. In the last 21 games, we know the infamous Rob Flom eating his own words literally earlier this week. So they're 17-4 in the last 21 games heading into last night. Harden, a few years ago, when the Sixers were going into Christmas Day, do you remember the Christmas morning report that Woj posted? That was like, James Harden might go back to Houston this offseason because he thought the Sixers basically weren't going to pay him, right? Like that was, he was getting out ahead of it. The Sixers were in the middle of an 8-game winning streak during that run when he said that. So it is laughable to me when Shams and Windhorse and all these people are, whoever's reporting it, like James Harden wants to go to Cleveland because he has a chance to win a championship. I'm like, James Harden does not give a fuck about a championship.
He doesn't.
He is past that phase of his career. I honestly think when the Sixers didn't win in 2023, I think he was just like, I do not care anymore. Like I tried with the Rockets, I tried with the Nets, I tried with the Sixers. Now I'm just going to go home. I'm going to revive my career. I'm going to be on ball. I'm going to make all-star teams again, all NBA. I'm going to be the best version of my individual self I can be. And then the Clippers, they rewarded him for it. They gave him a 2-year, $80 million contract with a player option on next year. And he went to them to try to get another extension. So basically what he used to do in Houston every year was Morey would just extend him every single chance he got. Two years, $100 million, 2 years, $100 million. And it was just James Harden getting extended every other year, basically, always on top of the current extension that he had. So he kind of became used to this. So he goes to the Clippers and says, hey, just sign me up at 2 years, $80 million. I'll accept my player option for next year. We'll add an extra year on top of that. And they said, we're good. We don't want to do that. You're 36 years old and we want to move in a different direction. We want to have our cap space 2 years from now in 2027. And we've decided now we're chilling, like not really. And then this rumor comes out, like all of these rumors. Mgrads was the first one to post it. Who, if anyone doesn't know who Mgrads is, one of our greatest posters of all time. He is infamous for the Andre Drummond is like that tweet. I don't know if you remember that one.
I do remember that one.
It's one of my favorite tweets of all time, which was essentially implying that LeBron and AD didn't need to play for the 2021 Lakers because they acquired Andre Drummond on a buyout and they could just roll him out there and he could give you 2020. And I was like, Cook King, to be honest with you.
He got the Zach Lowe cosign today.
He did. Yeah. Zach was on the Zach completely cosigned Mgrads. He all right. So here's the Mgrads tweet. Stick Andre Drummond in the lineup and keep Bron and AD out. And y'all going to be asking yourselves, do Bron and AD really need to come back before the playoffs? Yes. Andre Drummond is like that. I mean, so as a huge Drum God stan, I respect the spirit of the post. Zach bent the knee, Jonathan said.
Zach bent the knee.
He kissed the ring. He Kiss M-Grad's ring.
Yeah, that's right. M-Grad's runs that. That's his show now, man. You gotta like
incredible.
This is good stuff. I mean, look, do you think? Because I'm gonna be honest. Speaking of gods and who's running what, I think Bill had the right read on this.
I didn't listen to Bill yet.
He tweeted this. So he had he said that I basically laid out like I think what happened here is that Harden, the Clippers were kind of having this discussion with the Cavs separately, and then they went to him and they were like, "Hey, you've got to like waive your 15% trade kicker. You've got to do all this other stuff. Waive your no trade clause." And he's like, "Great. Then Cleveland's paying me, right?" And they're like, "No." And I think I think that's where I think that's why we're hearing a lot about this, but it hasn't gotten done yet. Because I think Harden's kind of the hammer on this. And
so Harden wants to figure out what the extension is before he gets traded. Because if he gets traded and then we get to the offseason, he's basically back where he was with the Sixers a few years ago, where he's picking up this big player option and forcing himself to another team again. But what I don't get from the Clippers perspective here, and by the way, I don't hate it from the Clippers perspective, to be honest.
No, I love it for the Clippers. I mean, well, love it. The fact that they're trading Garland probably means his toes might be cooked. So it does seem like there's a little bit of risk.
By the way, apparently it's 2 toes. It's not just, it's like 1 toe on one foot and 1 toe on the other foot. So it's one of those things where it's like, it might, and that is such a important thing. I know they've talked about before. He talked about it where like, basically when he comes back from him, it's hard for him to like find his balance when he's playing on the court. And, you know, look, Garland, for all of the physical limitations he might have as a small guard, is still one of the best shooter passer combos in the NBA. And when he has been given the chance to run a team, he's done pretty well in the past. Now he's not, I don't think he's going to be, it is very hard because I kind of feel the same way what I just said about Utah a little bit earlier and like Memphis with the uphill battle they have in the Western Conference now. Like you're bringing a Darius Garland to a Wemby, Jokic and SGA fight. like Garland's a good player, don't get me wrong, but like if you want to compete in the Western Conference, you need to build a real team around him. And it's not going to be easy when you don't have your draft picks for the next 4 years. And you also only have cap space in 2027. And doesn't that kind of negate the point of the cap space thing? If they're trading for, now look, Kawhi Leonard and everyone else will be off the books by that point. And they could technically trade Zubac in the next few days or this offseason or something like that, and just have Darius Garland and a bunch of cap space. But like, I think it's more about the fact that they don't want to pay that old James Harden, 38-year-old James Harden, in 2 years. Yeah. They'd rather go a similar, you know, a worse player. Like Harden's better than Garland.
Yes.
But he is 10 years younger. So you're giving yourselves a longer runway to kind of get this thing back on track.
And it's good value for old players. Just don't have value. Yeah. Like at the end of their contract, you kind of have to hang with them and run them into the ground. So like even getting even one that only has that has 2 broken toes, the way Garland does, is still better value. He's got 2 toes, one that he rubs and one that he shows. Sorry, you didn't like that one. No, okay. But he like, but I get it. Like, you know, I get the trade. I kind of don't get it from Cleveland's perspective.
I agree because here's the thing.
Yeah,
Harden. If you're just looking at this year, if you were just looking at, all right, the did the trade happen?
No,
someone commented finally.
No, I think just that we're agreeing on something. I'm monitoring. I don't worry. I've got Sham's vision.
I want to make sure it is slop season. Yeah. We got a fucking slop was raining down today. I was like, this is the most active day that wasn't the trade deadline day that I can remember.
Yeah.
We got 4 trades today and like real ones.
2 really big ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So from Cleveland's perspective, you're basically being like, this is it. This year and maybe next year, right?
Yep.
That's kind of like Harden's 36.
Yeah.
And while he is more of it, like the one thing I will say about Harden, he's available. Like you're not going to worry about James Harden being available and himself most of the time, in the way that you look at Garland and you go, well, he's just not someone we can really rely on. And the real reason, we know the real reason why they're doing this. There's two reasons.
Yeah.
One, they're worried that Donovan Mitchell is going to ask for a trade. They're worried that he's not going to re-sign. Yep. And then this summer they'll have to trade him if they don't make the conference finals. And two, they've been making moves kind of slowly to get closer and closer to getting out of that second apron, because when you're in the second apron, like there's just nothing you can do. They basically had to do. Now, look, I don't really care about DeAndre Hunter, but they did the DeAndre Hunter for Schroeder and Keon Ellis trade because they need to start shedding salary from their books to be able to make other moves. You are handcuffed. You can't aggregate salary. You can't bring in more salary than you're sending out. It just becomes basically impossible when you're in the second apron to make. They basically have to do the straight up James Harden for Darius Garland trade. They can't even aggregate salary.
I was trying to figure out I had like the bright idea. I was like, oh, you know what makes a lot of sense? What if Garland goes to the Mavericks? Anthony Davis goes to the Cavs, and then simultaneously they do a Jared Allen for like Grant Williams like trade to like shed some salary and get it. You can't even do that. Like there's no
impossible, because
you can't aggregate guys like at all until you're
also how many draft picks are they getting in that trade? 2?
Yeah, 2.
Grant Williams.
Grant Williams is going to be money for them.
Jared Allen to Grant Williams is a pretty big drop. But no, you're right. Like it's impossible. So they have to just make these kind of, they can either get 2 salaries for 1 salary, or they can get a straight up 1-for-1 swap. This is basically all they can do. And I'm assuming they're saying, if Garland isn't available in the playoffs, we have no second ball handler.
Yeah.
And we can always revisit this in the summer. And if we either need to trade Donovan, then we can go from there, or we have this, we can try to restructure James Harden, maybe get him at a lower hit for 2 years or 3 years or whatever, and hope that he kind of still remains to be somewhat himself for the next few years. But it's tough to just change. As someone who has had James Harden on his team, and someone who has acquired James Harden in the middle of the season on his team, he's not someone that is just easily going to be able to fit in.
Especially when you have Donovan Mitchell, dude.
Right, you have to learn how to play with James Harden. Now, he will make Mobley and Allen will greatly benefit from playing with James Harden. Like, I don't think that's a question. Especially Jared Allen. I think that 2-man game is going to be. I think
that would be incredible. Yeah,
they never played together because he was in the
Harden he was in the trade. Yes, that's how Cleveland got him. Was they poked their nose in that trade?
Yeah,
very well. Yeah,
which at the time I remember being like, this is a steal for Cleveland. What a great pickup by them. So those two will be, Mobley and Allen will greatly benefit from playing with him. Yeah. But it's going to be a learning curve, and trading for a player that has the ball as much as James Harden in the middle of the season creates some complications. But at the same time, they need a second ball handler if Garland just isn't reasonably available, and they miss their window to ever get anything for Darius Garland. That is like not just a player like James Harden, who's still very good, but also just at a different phase of his career and is much older and won't have a huge long runway here.
I just I don't know if I love that idea, because you want Donovan Mitchell to have the ball at the end of games. So what's the value? You can't really have, James Harden. Can James Harden be an off-ball guy, in a meaningful way, in important moments? I don't know. I don't. Or are you just turning Donovan Mitchell the most overqualified off-ball guy of all time?
Well, no, I think that they'll take turns running the offense, and I think when one sits, the other one will run offense. And honestly, if you are trading for James Harden, we've seen this in the past where teams try to be like, well, James will just run the offense for us up until it's crunch time, and then someone else will try to take over.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't really worked for him so far in his career. He's had a ton of different teammates, a ton of different iterations. I guess the argument that you could make on behalf of this trade is we have to do it this year with the East the way it is. We've been talking about this ad nauseum, where with the East being as weak as it is relative to a normal year, if we can't get to the conference finals this year and Garland's just out, and there's no way we can trade him for anyone who can make a difference, then there's no way that Donovan Mitchell is going to want to stay here. And we missed our shot to ever make a conference finals with him, because he's, like going to be like, all right, Jason Tatum was out this year and Tyrese Halliburton was out this year. And literally the last two teams they've lost their best players, and we can't get to a conference final in that year. It's over. Like, get rid of me. So this is a risk, certainly, just from the age perspective. It takes their window and makes it much smaller. And just from a fan's perspective, like, I know that Garland wasn't a perfect player, but he was their guy. They drafted him. He was the first guy of this whole rebuild before Mobley was there, before they traded for Jaren Allen, before they traded for Donovan Mitchell. Everyone. He was there before everyone. And to watch him go from like the worst player in the NBA his rookie year, to two-time All-Star, playoffs, like making the playoffs regularly, and becoming, like, even with some of the injury stuff, like still one of the 40 or 50 best players in the NBA. It is such a tough pill to swallow that you're trading that player for 36-year-old James Harden. Like, it's just, it's tough. And this also, the last wrinkle I will say is that people are indicating that they think that this is setting up for a LeBron reunion next year. So we'll see. Victory lap.
You started that with saying he's not a perfect player. Did you just want him to know he found the season to be? Found a season for me to be who I want to be. I love that. I just could just take the stibs, and then I let you talk for a little bit while I think through what the bit's going to be. It's a great thing. I want to say we owe an apology, because all this talk about secondary ball handling on the Cavs not being there reminded me we forgot to talk about Demon Ty Jerome being back for the Grizzlies.
Will told me he was the worst player in the NBA, really. Anytime I was like, yeah, Ty Jerome's pretty decent, Will's like, you overrate him. And I'm like, I said he's pretty good. Like, I don't think he's great. Like,
no, he's back.
No, they're building the whole team out of point guards. So are the Chicago Bulls, apparently. Are just building the whole team out of point guards right now. The Chicago Bulls have, by the way, the Cleveland Cavaliers, if they make this trade, because Garland wasn't playing. So before, it's like, well, if Garland's out, maybe you can have Schroeder. And bro, the amount of guards, we talked about this a little bit before they made this trade. The amount of guards they have on that team is just
absurd.
Absurd. I mean, it's literally half of their team. It's Donovan Mitchell, then James Harden, then Dennis Schroeder, then Keon Ellis, then Sam Merrill, then if Max Strus comes back, Max Strus, and like it's Craig Porter Jr. Like, the whole fucking team is made of guards. Like, they have to balance out that roster in some capacity, and maybe there are some more minor style trades they could make in the next few days.
I'm glad you brought this up, because the other thing I saw today, and this might have just been an in-passing thing, but I saw that James Harden wants to go to Atlanta. That was like one of the things that, and everyone was making the obvious jokes. I was going to say, everyone was making the obvious jokes.
He wants the lemon pepper wings.
Yeah, exactly. I actually do kind of like that for like
the Trae Young replacement.
If Atlanta's not giving up a ton, I kind of like that, to be like totally honest. Like, and like, is there a framework there where like the Clippers still get Garland, and like maybe they send some stuff to the Cavs that's like a little more helpful? Like, what if Nickeil Alexander-Walker like was the?
I don't think they would give up Nickeil Alexander-Walker for James Harden.
For James Harden, really?
No.
Even though this is kind of Mickey Mouse,
if they wanted James Harden, they would have waited to trade Trae Young and been like, hey, like, and just see it through. Like, I don't.
Well, maybe the Clippers just didn't want him though.
Nah, I don't think so. I don't see it. I don't like. I honestly, if I were the Hawks, I would be like, if I were the Hawks, if they were like, if I gave them literally Porzingis and Luke Kennard, and I get James Harden back, I consider it. But like every move that the Hawks have made recently has been just to shed salary, basically. Pretty much all of their moves have just been, even trading Demon Vit Krejci for 2 first-round or 2 second-round picks. He should be worth 2 first-round picks.
That was you. We talked about the moment, the out of left field thing that shocked us. I was just in the shower, like
crushing
with hands in my face with the Vit Krejci move, dude. I was like, what has happened to my league? Like, this is
how could you stars
are being, I know stars are just being
the god Vit.
Yeah, it's disrespect that's going on these days, man.
Did you see Coach Lou's tweet about Vit Krejci?
No.
Ball so hard that Vit Krejci.
There we go. Cook. Bang from downtown.
So the thing I want to just talk about real quick with the Vit Krejci trade.
Yeah.
When that happened, I honestly was. It's very funny because Zach Lowe.
Whatever you're gonna say, you're a pervert.
No, I am. I mean, I was my first thought was Daryl Morey should be fired for not doing this. Should immediately fire Daryl Morey for not doing 2 second-round picks for the same contract of Vit Krejci. But I listened to Zach, and Zach was like, "You know what? I'm gonna have a hot take on this. I really like this for Portland." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, they gave up 2 second-round picks and a player who is done for the rest of the season." And they added I think Vit is just a pretty serviceable, like modern bench guard that is like has random hot streaks where he looks like an absolute demon. And I think he'll help Portland a lot. They need the shooting badly. So
my only question on that is what's Duop Reith's contract situation? Because I do really like Duop
expiring. He's expiring. Also, Duop Reith is older than you think. He's 29. So it's not like a because he came over when he was like 26 or 27. So apparently Duop, it's just his foot he's done for the rest of the season. He's expiring veterans minimum. They were doing it just to shed more salary. They're apparently trying to create cap space, which I don't know. We'll see if that happens. So a lot of teams are trying to shed salary and just create cap space over and over and over and over again. Before we talk about the Bulls trades that they made today, the Bulls made 2 real trades, really 3 trades in the last few days.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think the best trade they made in the last few days was the one where they literally just got Dario Saric and got 2 second-round picks to take on his contract, and then they immediately flipped him. Yeah. Like, that was a nice piece of business by them, just to be like, all right, we'll take 2 seconds for free. Sure, why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
And the Sacramento Kings need to be like, at first, I thought everyone was overreacting to the Sacramento Kings making this trade for DeAndre Hunter. Because I remember on the podcast when it was rumored that it was going to happen, and I said, look, like, he's got 1.5 years left. You can clear up your books. You get off the Dennis Schroeder money. And yes, you should have never signed Dennis Schroeder in the first place, but don't do sunk cost fallacy, right?
Yeah.
Then I learned that Dennis Schroeder's contract is only guaranteed $4 million after next season. So you took on a bigger contract, gave up a 2nd-round pick in the process, and also traded Keon Ellis, who, look, maybe Keon Ellis got a little bit overrated, but you could have gotten stuff for Keon Ellis if you had traded.
You could at least get a decent second for Keon Ellis.
Like a decent second or something. And instead, you took back another player who doesn't play defense, another player who loves mid-rangers, another player who is just the only thing that's wing and forward about DeAndre Hunter is that he is shaped like a winger forward.
Can I say something a little upsetting? I think this is the most hopeless the Kings have been in my lifetime.
Wow. Well, all right, hold on. I will say though, they have their picks.
Why does that matter though? I don't think that matters.
They could draft the next Marvin Bagley. When we get to the draft and they take DeBansta number 1 overall.
Oh no, dude.
And everyone is just like, and I like DeBansta more than like the calculator rats. Like, I think he's going to be a very good NBA player. Yep. But I would definitely take Boozer and Peterson over him at this point, just from what I've seen.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree.
And I just feel in my gut and soul that they are going to take him with the first pick. And it's going to be such a disaster for him because he's going to go to this team that still doesn't make any fucking sense. And they might trade for Ja Morant. That was the other thing about the Jazz where I'm like, What if they get Boozer now? What if they get Boozer?
Dude.
What do they do? Damn. What do these teams do? These teams that are making trades before they have this golden opportunity. We just saw what happens when you trade for Anthony Davis and then you get Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
Like it fucks everything up. And like to a lesser extent, because this is a good team and these are good players, but you trade for De'Aaron Fox and then you get Dylan Harper, and like you can only play Dylan Harper 20 minutes a game.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, God, dude. I don't even like all the King shit is so fucking depressing, dude. I don't even know, because like at least there were times I'm trying to think of the other nadir was probably when they traded Boogie Cousins for Hield.
What about when they salary dumped Sauce Castillo with 2 first-round pick swaps to the Sixers? No, a first-round pick and a pick swap so they could sign Rajon Rondo.
That's also great. That's another really bad.
That's a really bad one. And then that actually didn't end up hurting them that bad because it was the picks only swapped from 3 to 5. The Sixers traded up in that draft and used the Kings first to get Markelle Fultz. Fultz didn't work out. Fox was their pick there, so Fox worked out. And then the next year was the one random year they were competitive, and the Celtics got the Romeo Langford pick. That process was terrible, but the actual results of that were the Kings came out with basically the best player because the Celtics were always taking Tatum. Like, that was never a question. Like, they came out with Fox, who was the second best player from that top 5, and they ended up only losing the pick that became Romeo Langford. And by the way, there weren't even that many great players. Like there was like the best players on the board at that point were like, I don't even remember. Like that was a bad range.
That was a bad range. Yeah.
Yeah. Like not a lot of good players in that range to be selected. So the Kings could survive a trade like that, even though the process in the first place was terrible. I just think that the Kings clearly still continue to have no idea what the fuck they're doing. And I tried to be like, who cares about this trade? Like, it's not really that big a deal. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, it's just pointless. Yeah. It's just pointless. Everything they do kind of has no real meaning. And people are, I don't know if you've seen the latest rumors. We talked about it a tiny bit on the last episode, on the Patreon episode. But the Sabonis rumors, if I'm seeing what these other players are going for, like Trae Young and potentially Ja Morant, and I have a chance to get off of the Sabonis contract and get RJ Barrett, even if I'm taking Jakob Poeltl's contract, who gives a fuck, dude? Like, you're not going to be good the next few years. Take the ride. If you could get 2 first-round picks and RJ Barrett,
sure. I was looking at that trade, and I don't even think there was rumors that because the Grizzlies got that massive trade exception that they were gonna the talks were already that they're the Poeltl team.
Yeah, they might just take him for like an unprotected first or something. Yeah,
that's nice business if you're the Kings to get out from under that, because then you can finally start like be a normal bad team.
Yeah,
do what the Nets are doing, like the Nets have been doing. Hire a good young coach and take the salary dumps, do the inflation game with, guys that are on the edge of playoff rotations, flip those guys around to keep getting assets and give yourself a chance to get.
Hold on. I'm getting a phone call.
Okay.
It's Zach Kleiman.
Okay.
He's saying that they're trading Keegan Murray and 2 first-round picks for Ja Morant.
Oh no. Yeah. And oh wait, and hold on. They're getting a late ad. It's also Dominique. Dominique's in the trade too. So every good player in the thing. Now, I don't know. By the way, shout out to Rusty.
Did you just call Nick Clifford Dominique? Like he's Dominique Wilkins?
Yes, he's Dominique to me. He's earned that. He's earned that respect.
I've never. By the way, Nick Clifford. Love Nick Clifford in the draft. He's been real disappointing. Real disappointing for me personally. Oh my God, dude.
It's not his fault, dude. I mean,
that team is just
that team.
I can't hold anything against anyone on that team. Anytime any information comes out, this player's playing, then I'm like, have you seen their team?
Yeah, I would try. I would be circling the lifeboats, throwing preservers, trying to pull who I can out of there. Like Malik Monk, come with us if you want to live. Like, please. Like,
I also also love that you were like, this is the worst it's ever felt to be a Kings fan. They traded Tyrese Halliburton for Sabonis 3 years ago.
And they're still feeling the effects of that. And there's no hope, dude. There's no hope. Like, even after they traded Halliburton, they had a fun playoff run. Like, this is demonic.
I remember arguing with Kings fans. It was still a terrible trade.
No, it is. Yeah, I mean, it is still a terrible trade. Shout out
and eventually they realized. But
shout out to Rusty Shacklebro in the comments, said arguing the Kings nadir is like arguing the high points of American leftism. the Kings nadir, yeah. Was it the?
You're telling me that the Tim Donaghy game is like when we install someone. Socialism can never work. The Kings basketball can never work because capital will always try to crush it.
Yeah, Tim Donaghy was on the Upton Sinclair fucking governorship race in the Milwaukee sewer socialism was the thing. No, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, let's go back to another pathetic franchise though. Chicago Bulls, doing okay. This trade deadline.
Yeah, no, haven't honestly. I've been saying this about the Bulls, where I'm like, I don't think they're gonna do the Chicago Bulls things that everyone thinks they're gonna do.
Yeah,
because I think Dan said that the light the beam year was the Eugene Debs campaign.
Oh no.
You know Du Bois. Oh, Jesus
Christ. Yeah.
Oh, but anyway, the Chicago Bulls, so do you want to talk? We can finally talk about your perverted Celtics. We can work that in here as well. Okay. I'll pull up that trade because or we can, do you want to talk about the Ivy trade first? Because they did make that trade earlier today, which was,
I like that. I like that trade for them too. I thought all of the trade. Let's do the Ivy one first. I'll pervert out at the end to
okay
for everything.
So Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit did a 3-team deal where Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley go to the Bulls. They're going to buy out Mike Conley, Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric to the Pistons. By the way, someone said Kevin Huerter shooting 30% from 3 this year. What the fuck happened to Kevin Huerter, bro? Like, he used to be able to shoot. Like, I don't understand how one of the best shooters in the NBA just got broken by a single playoff. He's shooting 31% from 3, and now he's still at 38% for his career. So maybe that will balance out on a normal team like Detroit a little bit more. But
I think it's probably buy low. But that's what I was gonna say. I think it's a good buy low move. Like, what's the real risk here? Like, how many is Kevin Huerter's like a year after this left on his contract or something like that?
No, I think he's expiring.
Oh yeah, so like, this is a no risk move for them, and it's a good way to like get like shooting like in the door. You know, like if he sucks, who cares? Like you know,
Duncan Robinson when Duncan Robinson doesn't play, when he's when he goes to the bench. But yeah, so basically, this is Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric going to the Pistons. I'm assuming they'll buy out Dario Saric, who I completely forgot is still in the NBA. Still hanging around Dario. And then Conley will, like I said, get bought out. And then Detroit also receives a 2026 protected swap from Minnesota. Now, Minnesota dumping Mike Conley is actually important here, by the way, because now they can try to chase Giannis. And if they don't get it, they basically what Windhorst said was they could go and they could have gotten Kobe White in this trade if they wanted, because they sent out Mike Conley, but saving the money that they did here. And I'm assuming they got under the apron. I think someone said they got under the first apron. So they can pretty much do any sort of aggregation. They can bring back any sort of money as long as they stay under that apron. In a Giannis trade, and they can make other moves if they don't get Giannis. So I think Minnesota is planning to make a real push here. I think if Giannis does get traded before the deadline, it sounds like it's going to be one of Minnesota or Miami, with maybe Golden State as like a third team potentially in the rearview mirror there. But this is basically Chicago taking a flyer on Ivy, which, look, Ivy has not been great. it's just such a low risk flyer. You get 30 games to see if he's decent, see what he can look like on a new team, fresh start outside of Detroit. Try to get him on a decent contract after this year. If not, let him walk. You get it's free agency, you get cap space. And then you basically have a situation where, you're not giving up anything really. You're just Kevin Huerter you probably weren't going to bring back. And once again, they do have too many guards, so this will probably lead to Io and one of Io or Kobe White being out the door as well. I would imagine they're trading Kobe White based on the reports that we've gotten recently. And yeah, I mean, look, I know that they've liked Ivy going back to when they were discussing Levine trades. So it's, once again, a good piece of business by the Bulls just to continue to take on guys that might suck and might have some rotation value for them, and get a look at some young guys and also get some second round picks in the process. Like, they got 2 seconds just to take on Dario. Then 2 days later, they flip him. 3 days later, however long it was, they flip him into this trade. And they are now looking at a situation where they're probably just going to get second round picks at this deadline, because the other trade that happened, I don't even know what seconds were involved in the Anthony Simons for Nikola Vucevic swap that you guys did earlier today.
One of them is a pretty good one. We gave one that's a best of, and the Pelicans are one of the teams.
Okay, so they got another decent second there, and they took on a little bit more salary in Simons. God damn, they have so many fucking guards, dude. So let's see, it's Giddey, Simons, Io, Kobe White, Jaden Ivey, Trey Jones. Jesus, their whole fucking team. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, if anything, I think that this is good for the Bulls and any trades that they make. I know they won't tank and they'll try to win down the stretch of this. The Hornets are passing them.
Yeah,
like, the Hornets are going to pass them sometime soon.
Yeah.
And they are basically looking at a situation where even if they want to be competitive, I think the best that they can be is the 9 or the 10 seed in the Eastern Conference. And if the best that they could be is the 9 or the 10 seed in the Eastern Conference, they're probably going to be in the lottery again. So I think between this and then the other trade, which was the Vooch trade, which I'll bring up now, which is essentially just like you said, like second round pick swaps, and then Simons and for Vooch. Simons they'll probably just let walk after the season, I would imagine. This was really more about Boston trying to save money. So okay, let's see. The Celtics traded the 32nd pick in this draft for the Nuggets 2027 second. So good piece of business from the Bulls to get a good second in this upcoming draft. To take on a little bit more money with Anthony Simons. But Vooch was going to leave after the season anyway.
I don't think I think these guys are a wash too. Like, Simons has been like pretty good for us. Like, like, he's not great. Like, I'm not going to pretend like he's like a starter or anything like that, but he's been like a pretty good 6-man. He'll go from being like really bad on defense to being like totally competent on defense, and he'll have his games where he's just shooting the fucking leather off the ball. Like, like I think this is kind of like fucking cope. I think this is just a straight money saving move
for both teams, really. Now, well, it's money saving from the Celtics for sure, but like Vooch just doesn't want to be on the Bulls anymore, and you just go get someone who's an expiring contract, and you get a better second in the process to do it, right? Like,
well, we basically gave up a second to save a meaningless like $5 million, because my whole thing has been,
if they make any other moves. If they make other moves, then it might not be meaningless.
Maybe, I don't know. I just don't think the way my read on this situation, why this is irritating me, is because like, unless the idea is to flip Vooch, and you can't like aggregate Vooch with anybody else because he's been recently traded, so it has to be an isolated trade, and there's not really anyone. The perfect scenario is that Terrence Mann trade we talked about, and that just squeaks the Celtics. Celtics have like $9.2 thousand in room if they do that, if they were to flip Vooch for Terrence Mann. And I just don't think this helps the Celtics. I think Celtics fans are, I don't want to like complain too much. Like everything has been found money so much for the Celtics. Like it doesn't really matter. I do think that this is sort of taking advantage of the goodwill a little bit because Vooch is not better than Kata. He's different stylistically, and I think that like the most optimistic read on this situation you could say is that like because Vooch is like technically a 3-point shooter, like the Celtics get a little bit of spacing at the bigs, but he's a dog shit defender.
He really just doesn't do it. Now the hope there is like maybe he'll try a little bit harder on here, but I just think the physical limitations with him and he's older now.
I trust the Boston Celtics coaching staff. I think we have an excellent coaching staff. I trust them to get the absolute most out of Nikola Vucevic. I'm not convinced that he is in any way an upgrade over Kata. I think the best thing you can say is that this gives you a little bit of a different look in like certain playoff matchups.
Yeah.
And this doesn't get you enough money to get you a year of taxpayer reset, which is what I'm really concerned about. Like if you're going to do this, if you're just going to do it to save, whatever, $10 million or something like that this year, okay, that's fine. I don't want to fucking hear it in 4 years when you're talking about how big the taxpayer bill is. Like, that's fine. You had an opportunity here to like really do something and like reset this. And like when Jason Tatum is back, like really use your resources well. If you're just going to do this, if you're just going to punt on this and basically give up a second round draft pick, something that's pretty valuable, like a high second, a 32nd, that's like it's basically a first round draft pick for essentially salary dump purposes. I don't want to fucking hear about it in like 4 million years. Like, fine, I'll shut up. It doesn't really matter that much for either this season or next season. But if you say anything about how much money you're spending in 3 or 4 years, I will come find you.
So I saw Bill say his instant reaction was, oh, nice, we'll get a good backup. I don't think Vucevic is coming off the bench. Like, I think that this is a guy that's made all-star teams in his career. And like what we usually find out about these guys is that when they end up in situations like this, like they want to be starters. And I don't know, maybe they had an agreement with him where it was like, look, if you come here, like Kata, I agree with you. I think Kata is just better for what you guys need. I just think he's a better center for most.
I think he's just a better player. Like
at this point of his career. Yeah, I think he is. I mean, outside of Vooch's like crazy shooting to the start of last year, he hasn't really been like a solid starter in quite some time. And I look at that situation and I go, if he buys into, hey, I'll play 15 minutes off the bench and basically do what like Luka Garza did for you guys.
Yeah.
Then I think it's a fine. Like he'll probably walk after the season anyway.
But you're also, you're also trading some of that though. Like, I mean, it's not like Simons didn't help. Simons hit like a lot of threes for us. And like, again, the defense was not great at like times in the game. And there were stretches this season where Simons like actively hurt the team. Like, I'm not going to pretend like that, but like we are talking about like one of the best 3-point shooters on the Celtics, like, and just giving him up and a second round draft pick for what is essentially a backup bad big. Who
I wouldn't say he's a bad backup. If he's a backup, I'm like, he's fine. Especially when you consider the positional shooting that he adds to the team. Even if I agree with you that the defense is just like, I don't know how that's tenable on a good team, to be honest with you. And I guess we'll find out.
He's not going to be able to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, I don't know if he is able to, but if there's one team that can get away with it, it's kind of always historically been the Celtics. But all right. Shams cannot tweet this shit during fucking slop season, dude.
Yeah, I know. Dude, he's got to get
Los Angeles Star Kawhi Leonard has been selected to the 2026 All-Star game. After the selection of the 24 All-Stars, Leonard was added to bring the total number of U.S. All-Stars to 16, the minimum required. So they basically just added him as someone said it's like the Mike Conley one, but I thought about this before he was added. People were saying this, and I tend to agree. I think this would have been the biggest All-Star snub of all time if Kawhi didn't make it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was kind of shocked he didn't make it.
Player in the NBA.
We were like, he was like the second name we said when we did reserves. We're like, obviously Kawhi will make it. Like, and then I was like looking at it, I was like, wait, Denny made it. No one else did it. Like who didn't make it? Jamal Murray made it. I was like, who didn't? And it took me forever to figure out Kawhi because I had just pointed that out there. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Stone cold fucking lock. I would have thought Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi is having probably the best year of his career since his first year or two with the Clippers. Kawhi, I know he had in the Sixers game last night, we were doubling him every time he touched it just because we were like, let anyone else beat you in this game. And it's the one time I agreed with the strategy. Kawhi is averaging 27.6 points, 6.1 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 2.1 steals. I think he leads the NBA in steals again this year. It's him or Maxey, and Maxey plays more minutes. And maybe Dyson Daniels. But his splits are 49, 39, 91. So he's close to 50, 40, 90.
Yeah.
27 points a game. Leads the NBA in steals and almost didn't make the All-Star game. I mean, that was insane. The coaches should be ashamed for fucking doing that. Like, and I know it's harder in the West than it is in the East because, like, I was pissed Joel didn't make it, but also Joel was like, he really wasn't that great until the last 10 games, and they might have voted on that. Like, the coaches and the assistant coaches might have already put in their votes for that and whatever. The Kawhi stuff like started like a month and a half, 2 months ago. Like, he should have certainly been in. And like, I know LeBron is LeBron, but if we're doing like, Kawhi's also a legend in his own right. Like, he's had a much better season than LeBron has this year and should have been included in the original All-Star voting. And I'm glad that they put him in because it would have been a fucking sham. And especially because the Clippers are hosting it at home. Someone said that they gave Jared Allen a fucking All-Star game. I mean, he was pretty good that year, but they gave him an All-Star game when it was in Cleveland. And then the Jazz got the Lowry Markkanen year. His All-Star game was the year that Utah hosted. Like, the Clippers needed a representative anyway. They're one of the 6 best teams in the West. We'll see if that stands after they trade Harden, but they're like one of the 6 or 7 best teams in the West. And then on top of that, like, Kawhi's having this all-time season. Like, I'm glad that they made up for it here. So let's talk just a little bit because I think we got most of the major trade stuff out of the way. There were obviously a bunch of trades. We talked about even the minor ones. The 2 things I wanted to talk about before we get out of here, because we'll be, unless there's another massive trade between now and Thursday, I'll do an emergency stream if there is. But the thing I wanted to say was the 2 reports that we had come out. One being here we go. All right. Peter with the super chat. We got to shout this out. Bro, how the fuck am I supposed to sleep until Thursday? I'm getting either Giannis or a here damn James Harden. I didn't even think of that. I forgot Minnesota could technically also trade for James Harden, but I think that Cavs Clippers trade will happen. It sounds like Giannis is coming. If Giannis is traded, it sounds like it's coming down to Miami or Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
And right now, the package for Giannis, if Miami, it's all basically picks and maybe one of Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins, whoever, plus like a few of their young guys like Khalil Ware and Jaime Jaquez and whatever. Yeah. Minnesota is another team that is all right. Don't spam rumors in chat. Like, just that's fucking annoying. So the Minnesota package would look like basically players where you would send out one of Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, possibly someone like Naz Reid or Dante DiVincenzo just to make the money work. But they would have to basically trade multiple. All right, I'm kicking this person out of chat. I can't with this. I can't spam rumors in chat. So the thing I was going to say was basically Minnesota or Miami. We have heard rumors that he wants his own team in we've heard rumors that Giannis wants his own team, and Miami would obviously fit the bill better than he would fit the bill better than Minnesota, where he would be going to play with Anthony Edwards. But if you are the Bucks, would you prefer Miami's package or Minnesota's package?
So let's recap it. Tyler Hero, Jaco Jonas, Jaime Jaquez, like Khalil Ware, and what is that, 3 firsts in a swap?
So the Miami firsts are just so worthless to me.
Like, I know.
That's the one thing. Like every time they were talking about Miami picks, I'm like, when was the last time Miami had good picks? They're never bad.
Mm-hmm. No.
So you're basically doing it for, you have to like the players, or you told Giannis, we'll send you wherever you want, and he said, only send me to Miami. And the other rumor is, like I said, he wants his own team. He stays in the East. It's easier to win in the East. There's a long list of reasons why he would prefer Miami over Minnesota. I don't know if you saw the person's tweet earlier that had me laughing, but they were basically talking about how if you were the Thunder, just call up Timberwolves and be like, hey, we'll give you 2 first-round picks to trade Giannis to Miami. Don't trade him to Minnesota. We got all these picks laying around. We'll trade you 2 first-round picks. Just send us
send him, keep him out of the West.
Yeah, send us really Rob good. Dillingham.
Yeah, yes. Do a little. They should let that happen to the Bucks more often. They should let that do like Mario Party style politicking going on.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can negotiate and basically, help them improve the Giannis offer and just send him to Miami instead of sending him to Minnesota. I guess in that scenario, it would be them sending picks to Milwaukee and saying, send him there and just send us some bullshit so we can make this look like a real trade. But yeah, I have a feeling if I had to put money on it, if I had to just put money on where Giannis ends up, if he is traded sometime in the next few days, I would probably say Miami. I just think that they get away with it all the time. And they have been waiting for this opportunity. Now, if we get reports, if he goes to Minnesota and we get reports afterwards that Miami wasn't willing to give up X, Y, or Z, I never want to hear about the Miami Heat again for the rest of we do this. I might even ban Miami Heat talk from the podcast, to be honest, because this is your opportunity to make a trade that you've been waiting 5 fucking years to make. And if you just choose, they wanted one too many firsts, or we didn't want to trade Pell Larson, or some cute bullshit that Pat Riley goes in Joe Brandon mode. I just don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it.
Sleepy Pat. I mean, I don't know. I get the impression it's all kind of like made up too. I'm keeping my eye on Demon Conley, man. Yeah, I'm just saying he has a proven track record of getting this shit figured out. So
the real Daryl Morey. I posted this and a lot of people didn't understand what I meant by that, by the way.
Yeah.
I just think that Daryl Morey has this reputation in the media of being, well, if there's a star, Daryl Morey's going to call. Daryl Morey is one of the most aggressive GMs in the NBA. And then Tim Conley's like literally I can't remember what they say about him, but it's like he's always monitoring the situation, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically is always checking in on the value. But that's what a good GM would do. A good GM would be like, oh, one of the best players of all time is available. Let's see if we can get in there and try to get one of the best players of all time. Now, like I don't think Giannis wants to come here, to be clear, and I don't think that we were ever realistically in the conversation. But like Daryl Morey didn't even make a phone call. Daryl Morey does his job 3 days a year. he should, and sometimes he trades our draft picks, so he only has to do his job 2 days a year. He works on trade deadline day and the first day of free agency, and then he just goes, nah, whatever. I'm fine. We're fine with our team. he wakes up at 2 p.m. on trade deadline day and frantically calls around the league to try to find somewhere to dump Eric Gordon's contract with a second-round pick so we could dodge the luxury tax. And then he waits until draft day, and sometimes he trades away our picks, so he doesn't even have to do that. He takes a vacation for himself. And Tim Conley, meanwhile, is in the fucking fields, dude. He is grinding. He is working the fucking phones. And he is always trying to make their team better. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, potentially, for Minnesota to trade for a player like that. And I said this earlier. I think this is their reward for holding, this country up and shielding us from fascism.
Yeah, Minnesota's earned this. Yeah,
they have the mandate now. They have the mandate of heaven. Minnesota, you get the Greek freak. In a just world, Minnesota would get Giannis over Miami.
Yeah, one of the most powerful immigrants of all time goes to Minnesota, where is wanted. Meanwhile, Miami, Florida, famously not. Yeah, I mean, this is what we need. This is part of woke too. This is part of woke coming back.
This determines the next 5 years.
Yeah, this is
where Giannis goes is the split in the road.
Yeah,
Either
castle, bad castle. Yeah,
either tech crypto fascism fully takes over and wins, and he goes to Miami, or there is a new hope, and Giannis goes to Minnesota, and Ant-Man and Giannis create a dynasty there, and Jesse the Body Ventura becomes president.
Jesse the Body Venture. I love Giannis Antetokounmpo. I love watching him. That guy, he's a great basketball player. He works really hard.
God, your Jesse's really good. I always forget that. You bust that out every once in a while.
My only good impersonation, because I in my spare time watch Jesse Ventura interviews. I think he's literally a god. He's one of my. He comes out after all this.
Yeah, and the fucking losers in the White House. I'm living off the grid in the Baja.
He's one of our most ethical cranks. I know I just said this about Klosterman 2 pods ago, but also he's a genuine crank. In a way that nobody had fringe beliefs pretty much his entire life. That freaked people out.
He was seen as insane. Did you ever hear the story about how he just went to Cuba to hang out with Castro?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's awesome.
What he was just he was like,
they told me all these things about him. Oh, he's a dictator. He's a communist. Well, I went there to see for myself. Yeah. He's a great guy. He welcomed me into his home.
Yeah, right-wing people saying he was a disaster as governor. You're just saying that because he was actually quite bad. Yeah, you're only saying that because he was actually quite bad.
You might not understand now, but soon you will.
Turns out having a pseudo libertarian in charge of your executive branch of government sometimes isn't good. But who's to say?
He brought the light rail to Minneapolis, dude.
Mono meaning one, rail. Gave all that money to Lyle Landley. Bulls trying to trade for Tari Eason.
Who do they have? Oh, I guess that would be Kobe White and draft picks.
Or Io
and draft picks.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, we kind of danced around this. Do we want to talk about, before we get out of here, the Sabonis thing seems like it's going to happen too on the Raptors?
I don't know if it is though. I mean, it seems like it's going to be I guess. I just look at that trade and I go, I'll believe that a team takes on the Pirtle contract when a team takes on the Pirtle contract.
Yeah.
But the Memphis wrinkle on all of it makes it seem like it could happen.
Yeah.
But if I were the Kings, I would take it because you're going nowhere anyway. And if you get draft picks to take it on, do it.
What do you think about it from the Raptors perspective? Because I can't really make up my mind on it. I
don't get it at all.
Don't get it at all. Okay, so I don't necessarily disagree, but
a few people have been well, I will say the one thing about Darko's offense is that it does kind of remind me a little bit of the Kings offense from a few years ago.
Yeah,
where he did flourish in that season with the Kings, where he basically got to be a dribble handoff merchant and just let the guards cook, and he could do it with the wings and some of the guys that they have there. But I just am like, can you really win in the modern NBA? Now, look, they've kind of proven me wrong this season, but you're adding, and I know they haven't, but like they had Pirtle earlier in the season, so like they're moving in a direction where they're playing a little bit smaller. They have Mamu who can shoot out there. How many threes per game are they going to shoot if they're starting 5? Is Emmanuel Quickley, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Colin Murray, Boyles, and Sabonis?
Yeah.
Jamal Shed is the 6th man. Grady Dick, 7th man, who in theory is a much better shooter than he is in actuality.
Yeah.
Like I just look at that and I go, where does the 3-point volume come from? And if you don't have 3-point volume, you could definitely win in the possession battle. Like they kind of, and like grind out wins for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't understand his fit, like his fit with Scotty and Colin Murray Boyles. Well, defensively, they can cover up for some of his issues for sure. Offensively, it's just so clunky to me. And Emmanuel Quickley has been incredibly inconsistent with the Raptors.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram and Sabonis, like dribble handoffs, like it all feels gross to me. But then again, like they've kind of built a gross team, like for what I think should work. And Darko's figured out a way to like make this really good egalitarian style.
They are like the roster of like getting flashbanged. Like imagine going back in time and like telling yourself, like running down this list of players being like, yeah, its team's going to be Sabonis, Brandon Ingram, Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes.
It makes no sense.
It's just like, I don't know. Like, and it's like, well, who's the best player on the team? And it's like, well, Scotty Barnes, but then it's Demon Mamu. Who? Demon Mamu.
I didn't know who Colin Murray Boyles was 2 years ago, and now he's like an important part of their team. Like, I don't know. Like, everything that I think about for their team, I know the Pirtle, once again, the Jakob Pirtle move, Wolfon from formerly of Pound the Rock, who has been on the pod and I've been on their show a bunch, talked about the Jakob Pirtle move earlier and how I wanted to pitch this to you. Is Jakob Pirtle coming back and just fucking everything up for the Raptors, just kind of karmic justice for the Kawhi trade? Like the Kawhi trade working is what I'm saying. Like they traded Jakob Pirtle in the original Kawhi trade with DeMar DeRozan in a first round pick.
Yeah. Yep.
That became Keldon Johnson. That was the return for Kawhi.
Yeah.
They won a championship. They sold their soul to basically win that championship. By the way, 2019 Raptors now just got their 5th All-Star? They have 5 All-Stars from the 2019 Raptors. Wait, is it 5? No, hold on. Marc Gasol, Kyle Lowry, Kawhi Leonard, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, and now Norm Powell. 6 All-Stars. By the way, you know who the role players were on that team? Danny Green, Serge Ibaka, OG Anunoby.
Did Serge Ibaka ever make an All-Star? Probably not.
No, he didn't, but he made all defense teams, and so did Danny Green. So they had 9 players who got, and OG's made an all defense team, and he didn't even play.
He didn't play.
So if you look back at that team, there's 9 guys that had something on their basketball reference page that is like a check mark basically. That's fucking insane. I mean, we talked about, but once again, that is I said, you look back and you go, wow, this is the greatest team of all time. You would have never known that they got taken to 7 games by the Sixers. They almost went down 3-0 to the Bucks.
Everyone kind of asterisked that championship because it's like, the Warriors just got hurt. Yeah.
But that team is so loaded looking back. I know they're all at different points of their career, but still.
That was a really good team, like just straight up. Like,
he cooked, and that was for 1 year. They put together this insane team.
Did you even mention Marc Gasol? Did you?
I did. Yeah, he was the first guy I said.
Yeah.
So but what I'm trying to say here is that, do you think that Jakob Pirtle coming back and just ruining everything? Because think about it. We talked about at the time when they made the Jakob Pirtle trade. Go back, for anyone who hasn't seen it, go back and watch Slopfest. By the way, Slopfest this Thursday, all through the trade deadline. Join us. We're going to be on here starting at like around noon.
If you hate me, don't worry. I will be missing for large portions of it. You can tune in early. Yeah.
I was going to say, tune in early to for the Sam haters.
Sam haters, you're finally getting your wish. I could not get off work for large portions of this, so you could tap in. Yeah.
So the thing I want to say about I know we've talked about this ad nauseum, so I just want to recap a little bit.
Yeah.
When they should have been selling at the deadline, they traded for Jakob Poeltl to try to keep Fred VanVleet and like make him happier, and then Fred VanVleet walked in the offseason. So they gave up the pick that became, it ended up becoming Rob Dillingham, but like Zach Edey was still on the board. There were some NBA players that were still on the board at that point of the draft. Matas Buzelis. Then they turned around and for no reason gave Jakob Poeltl this extension. And now they have to pay to get off. So in the whole, the net here is that Jakob Poeltl could end up costing them 3 first-round picks. And he's been fine for them. Like, he's been decent, but like not anything. He doesn't blow your mind. And he's 30 years old and has these back issues now. They gave him that massive contract extension. And now they're probably going to have to trade for someone who makes a lot of money and is an imperfect fit with the rest of their roster. And I'm speaking of, let's look at just the Kings and the Raptors from both ends of the spectrum, by the way. Someone said that they're in the Kings are in the luxury tax next year, Sam.
That cannot be true, dude.
Someone said that was the case.
Is that fucking true?
They're in the tax, dude.
That can't be real, is it?
Because
that's
of the DeAndre Hunter
depressing.
They took on more money.
That's so depressing. I'm actually tearing up, dude. That's so depressing. Like, that can't be true. I need that to not be true.
So, Sam, can we do this on Thursday?
Do what?
We should hide Sam's phone and then break every trade to him.
I could turn it off. I could log off if you want.
Log off for the day when you're at work, and then you show up and we just read you all the big trades that have happened. Slightly Biased did that. He took a vacation and came back to all of the offseason news in 2024, I think it was.
Okay.
And then they just blind read him and he had to react in real time. So that day, try not to check your phone for trades.
Okay.
And then you'll show up for the stream and we'll read the stuff to you.
Okay. All right.
Do you know what time you're going to be here on Thursday?
It's a great question. I have no idea how long this meeting is going to run, and then I'm going to drive back here. So probably sometime. I'm hoping between 3 and 4, but we will see.
Fair.
So
we'll try to make that happen. I'll stay on if you want to do that content.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I think they'll be okay with like letting me just come back here after that. So
cool.
I'll do that. It really just depends. This thing I have for work could be like a very contentious meeting that could get like drawn out. So like me doing real work, like, hey, sorry, I gotta go. Slopfest is on right now. So,
they'll understand. Everyone will understand. I'm looking at them right now. So obviously they could do this a bonus trade and shed some salary. Yeah. But I still think they'd have to take on a decent amount because they're taking RJ Barrett and Jakob Poeltl, right? So Sabonis makes $45 million next year. Zach LaVine, 48.9 player option. I think he'll be picking that one up.
Yeah.
20. So DeMar DeRozan isn't fully guaranteed, so they could do like a wave-in stretch of DeMar DeRozan's money. Like they could. I think he's like half guaranteed.
Dog, this is so foul. Like
so 25.7 for DeMar DeRozan, 24.9 for DeAndre Hunter, 20 million for Malik Monk. 24 million for Keegan Murray. By the way, they have $199 million on the books for next year.
That's crazy.
Dude. And they're the worst team in the NBA.
It's like not even counting like Russ, like is not on the books. Like
no. This is like 10 players.
Yeah, this is like the guys he just listed, Nate Clifford and then Maxime Renaud, like are like the only guys on the
Devin Carter, who I might not be an NBA player. Like I'm floored that they did the DeAndre Hunter trade. Like, why did you take on more money for next year? Just ride out the Dennis Schroeder contract, dude. They make no fucking sense. But anyway, the Raptors are in a similar situation where they're in the second apron for next year.
Yeah.
So they're trying to finagle their way out of that. So the Raptors at least are in the East, in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They have some things to look forward to.
I'll say this. It looks a lot better than I thought it was going to look this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this could be a Phoenix Suns style disaster. And it's gone basically the best it could possibly have gone, in my opinion.
And the Suns are going to be good forever now. Everyone has assured me that the Phoenix Suns are the new dynasty, and that they will be in the playoffs every single year. And this will definitely not come crashing down. But yeah, the Raptors and Kings thing is just depressing to me. Honestly, the thing that was more interesting to me that came out that we haven't talked about at all. The Warriors are apparently trading Draymond. This has flown under the radar. No one's talking about this.
Like at the deadline or like in the summer?
One of the two. Like they're almost certainly moving on from Draymond because basically this happened. This report came out after the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade and while all the Giannis stuff was coming out, so no one gave a fuck. But Anthony Slater basically came out and said like they're ready to move on from Draymond, whether it's at this deadline. The Warriors have placed Draymond Green in trade talks, and his 14-year run with the team is in jeopardy per Anthony Slater. Like he's done like that. I feel like that is not being discussed at like, I think they're just over the Draymond experience.
What? Because obviously, like he and LeBron are like put together like a lot of the time. Is there like any like who would even do that? Like,
so well, that's it. We don't know where LeBron's playing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like, what? I feel like you can't do that at this deadline. Like, what would the trade even be?
Well, I think it would be in the Giannis trade is the original assumption. But if they're not getting Giannis, then I don't know. But they seem to be done with the Draymond experience. So I guess we'll get more information on that as we get closer to this deadline. But that kind of flew under the radar. And we have no idea where LeBron's going to play. He goes on his podcast and says, I would love to play with LeBron. But it's like, I don't know. I said this before Paul George got suspended, but I would like to take a flyer on Draymond Green on the Sixers.
It would be so funny, dude, if he was on him with Embiid, dude, would be.
Embiid was talking to Rich Paul after the game last night in LA, and that's Draymond's agent. So my antenna was up. But now I look at it and I'm like, well, we have to get. So the reason why the Sixers are just going to go Daryl Snorri mode and do nothing at this deadline. Mm-hmm. Nick Nurse loves Oubre like it's one of his children. Like he's not being included in trades. They would trade Drummond and Eric Gordon, but they're both just expiring like $8 million or whatever. The other tradable salary they have on the team is Quentin Grimes, who would need to waive his no trade clause to get traded. So they'd have to find a place he would want to go, and he would lose his bird rights in the process. So it would have to go to a team that has some sort of exception that can sign him or cap space. So that's hard to figure out. And then on top of that, if you combine all of those guys in one and you send it out for someone like Draymond, let's say, then they're going to be in the tax because they're going to have to sign guys to the remaining roster spots that they open up in that. And they're going to dodge the tax. They do it every fucking year. Every year they do it. And this year they get lucked out with the Paul George thing, which will allow them to easily dodge the tax. But I don't see them making a splash trade like that. I've also said everything at this deadline I've been wrong about. I thought it was going to be slow. I thought there wasn't going to be a lot of guys traded.
Dude,
maybe I'll have egg on my face on Thursday. So
you're welcome. Trill and I, nobody cooks up a reverse drinks like Trill and I, and we just combined to give us one of the
last
best
year. I was more uncertain. This year I was like, yeah, no, this just doesn't. I was just like, there's no way that there are trades. This year I was just flat out wrong. But last year I was like, and then the Luka trade happened and all hell broke loose. But
I have to say, Richard and Mateo are putting our ass in a pack, dude. They have us in the dunk tank. We have our clown makeup on.
Yeah, CJ McCollum is owning us over and over again.
Yeah, CJ McCollum owns my house now, dude. Like he's kicking me out. It's tough. It's tough. But we'll see. We'll see what the trade deadline is. I will do my best to be offline. I am a creature of online, so I have to I'll start at 9 a.m. is what I'll commit to. And then we'll see what happens. I'll be on the pod. Everyone can break the trades to me one by one. So
I do just want to read very, very funny before we get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
The Dunk Central posted the Tari Eason thing. The Bulls are swinging for Tari Eason per J. Cowley Hoops. Houston keeps telling them no, but they're still trying. Fuck off.
That is so me, dude. Every hinge date. Sam is interested in getting a second hinge date. No,
who want me?
All blue text in the thing. 4 days. Maybe she's really busy.
All right, Slopfest Thursday. Let's get it.
This is your chance. If you're someone who wants to steal my spot on the pod, talk to Trill about getting on there. If you're Laugh Reacts, do all of that. So really, this is your chance right now to really make an impression. This is soft launching for. This is like the disaster clause where they have the plan for like if the plane crashes, like what they do for the league. This is the disaster thing for me when I choke on a fucking herringbone or whatever I do living by myself. Yeah.
This is I'm Drewski and I'm doing Could Have Been Records, trying to take the next YKP host and decide to do a scam contract.
We should do that.
Yep.
Everyone's zeroing out Peter on the first try.
Hassan Piker and I Show Speed will be here on Thursday, so you don't want to miss.
Go.
Yep, that's correct. Yep. Yeah. Kai Sinat, he's going to come on. He's going to read a little bit. It's going to be great.